Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, I'm at Heroes Park today, and I have the DJI Air 3 fantastic drone with the 1.7 aperture wide angle lens and the 2.8 aperture 70 millimeter 3x telephoto lens on the top. And the folks at Freewell sent me some filters, and so we're gonna do a little filter test today. Obviously, there's a lot of filters here, and I'm not gonna be able to go through all of them. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we can get some motion blur at a busy intersection over here, and we will use an ND filter that has a polarizer on it. Now, the different packages that they have here. They have the Everyday 3-pack that includes a UV filter, a mist filter, and then a light pollution reduction filter, handy in a number of ways. I would say the UV filter is probably a good one to put on there, just if nothing else, simply to protect your lens on the drone. And then I've got the all-day 8-pack of filters, and they have a circular polarizer on all of them. I like that Freewell does that. So you've got an ND4, an ND8, an ND16, an ND32, and an ND64. The ND64, because it's a really bright day, and with the 1.7 aperture on the main camera on the Air 3, that is probably the one I'm going to use today. And then you also have just a plain circular polarizer, and you've got an ND1000 and an ND2000. Now those darker ones, ND1000 and 2000, you can use those to get that kind of artistic looking motion blur. In other words, if you are, say, trying to film video, moving water, etc., on a waterfall, you can get that silky look with those really, really super dark filters, because you can slow your shutter speed way down. I'm going to grab the Air 3. We're going to put a filter on it, and I'll very quickly show you how to do that, and we'll get this bird in the air. So one of the things that Freewell has done is they've made their box a lot easier to open. And I mentioned this when I looked at the Freewell filters for the Mavic 3 Pro, but I so appreciate this. They used to have a little zip pull on the top here that never worked, and you always had to just really literally kind of tear the box open. But now it just opens like a normal box. And boy, they give you a nice case here. We're going to take a look at that. I have not seen a case like this before. And then the other thing that they always include is documentation. And one of the things that I appreciate that they do is they always have QR codes on everything to give you instructions on how to use all of their filters. Really a neat deal. And they'll also, in this little envelope, will include a cleaning cloth too. So there's a nice magnetic clasp holding this together, and there's a little piece of foam that separates the filters so they don't get scratched. So there's all the filters right there. You got the two ND1000 and ND2000 at the bottom there, and then you can see they all have the ring for the circular polarizer. Nice magnetic clasp on this case. It gives you that satisfying click when you close it. Okay, so bear with me here. I'm not even sure that the Action 2 camera will be in focus this close, but you've got the framework around the gimbal over the camera on the Air 3. We simply twist it. Well, I guess that's going to be to my right as I'm looking. If you were facing it, you would be turning it to the left, and that just comes off there, and hopefully you can see those little tangs on there. And you know, it's nice. This actually does have glass over it. Often when DJI gives us these things, they're just a piece of plastic, but this one does have glass. Okay, here is that ND64 filter, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but there's little notches or clips on here, and we just simply put those into the holes on the gimbal, trying to do this so you guys can see it. And once you have it flat there, then you simply twist it. I'm going to twist it to my left. And there we go, we're all installed. Okay, we've got the Freewell filter installed on the drone. Nothing to do now but take off, and when we get out to the intersection that I want to show you to get that motion blur, we'll do our adjustments to the camera to get to that 180 rule. We're going to be shooting in 4K 30 frames per second, so we're going to try and double that 30 frames per second and get to a 60th of a second shutter speed on the drone, and I think this ND64 will make that pretty easy. And we'll also take a look at the ISO. We're shooting for ISO 100, so let's quit messing around. Let's get this bird in the air. I've said that a few times now. Okie dokie, I've got the drone fired up and it looks like it's ready to go. We may be a little bit dark here, so we're in automatic, and I'm just looking at my FPV screen and it looks a little bit dark. Let's go ahead and take a look at the safety menu real quick. We're in bypass and 35 meter return to home height, which is plenty, so we're good to go there. Not asking for any calibrations. Battery info is looking good, so I may end up having to put a lighter, like an ND32 rather than this 64. But again, we're in auto now, so let me start recording in automatic, and let's go ahead and well, heck, we'll do an automated takeoff on the app. Takeoff. Home point updated. And I'm going to go ahead and go up to the 7 meters high before you move off that DJI recommends. There's about 6.8 meters. And let's turn around, bring it back down, because we'll try for that precision landing. That's always fun. But I want to give you a look at the drone with the lens on there. And in fact, I am going to turn off obstacle avoidance here real quick. So we are going to go off for just a second so that we can bring the drone in. I want to get it close to the camera here, and you can see just let me get it down just a little bit lower, and you can see that filter on the lens of the camera, and you can see that it doesn't impede the gimbal at all. It's moving it back and forward. You can see that gimbal moving around just as it should. Well, so we typically start off with a droney on all my videos. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let me drop the camera down, and yeah, reversing up now. Reverse and up. And you can see where I'm at here at Heroes Park. And again, I am just looking at my FPV feed here, and you know, it does look a little bit darker than normal. I don't know, maybe that's my imagination because I know I've got that ND64 on there, but kind of move the camera up to the rule of thirds here. You can see things are still pretty green. We're kind of at the end of August here. Nice day in the mid 80s and a little bit of a breeze, so not bad. You guys have all seen this territory before. The farmer's field over there, they got corn growing on one side of it, but where we're going to go to do some video here and show some motion blur is there's an intersection here there's a street called Chinden Boulevard, and we're moving out that direction right now, and you see a lot of activity over by this Costco. And we're about 66 meters high. That tends to be a fairly busy intersection. We're in normal mode right up to about the maximum 12 meters per second. And so let's get over here, and we'll get this guy. We'll find a good vantage point, and then we'll mess with our settings, and we'll see if we can get to that 180 rule. And if we can't with this ND64, we may end up having to to get a lighter filter like the ND32, but I think we're going to be able to do it. You know, I always tell you guys about the busy intersections. It doesn't look so busy now. I mean, it's fairly busy. But anyway, so we'll have in fact, let's just kind of move a little bit more this way so that you'll see the boulevard off to one side and Costco on the other. And in fact, I'm going to get even closer yet, because we want to be able to see that motion blur. And yeah, we'll get the camera down a little bit, because we don't need so much sky. We're looking for motion blur in this traffic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out of auto. I'm going to go into pro mode and see if I can adjust. And look at the ISO is at 250. So yeah, it really cranked up the ISO there. And the shutter speed is at 1/100th, which is not far off from where I'd want to be. But let's go ahead. Let's see if we can crank this ISO back to 100. Let's just try that. Go into manual and click it on 100, and I don't see a lot of difference there. And look at that, it put the shutter speed at a 40th, which that's probably good. That'll actually slow things down even more. So let's try that and see how it looks here. So again, we're on ISO 100 and with a shutter speed of a 40th of a second, and we're shooting at 30 frames per second. So we should see some motion blur here. I'm gonna kind of move us around a little bit more to the side and give us a good look. And we'll see this when this light turns. We'll see these cars go. And what I'll do is, after we're done with this video, I will I'll do a freeze frame of this, so that you can, when you do a freeze frame, you can actually see that little bit of blur. And what is the point of that blur? Well, the point of it is that your eye naturally sees motion blur on moving objects, and you want to replicate that in your video, and it just makes things look smoother and more natural. So I'm always telling you guys how busy some of the streets here are, and when I'm looking at it right now, it doesn't look as busy as I often think that it is. But yeah, when we see, we'll get some cars turning here. We'll get them going in the turn lane, and you should be able to detect some of that motion blur. We'll let it go through a full cycle of the lights here, and so that you can see that. I'm actually kind of pleased that we were able to get that shutter speed down that slow with the ISO at 100, and I think it looks pretty good. And it kind of shows you with that big aperture that DJI gave us with this camera. And of course, now things have there's not much action right now, so we'll see when that next light changes. And there it did. So you got the turn light, and you'll see all these cars turning. There's always a lot of cars turning from west to south on, that is 10 Mile Road they're turning onto. And so yeah, that'll kind of give us a look at that. And maybe we can even, let's see if we can get down here even a little lower. There's no reason why not, right? Why can't we get down here a ways and kind of give you even a closer look? So let's see now when that traffic goes on Chinden like they're going right now. They are heading east towards Boise, and yeah, much closer look here. So that'll give you kind of a good look at the motion blur. And again, I'll do a freeze frame at the end of this, so that you can kind of see how that looks in a freeze frame. And once we're done here, we've got a lot of battery, so I'm going to combine this by just kind of giving you a little bit of a tour around as well once we're done. So that's about it. I'm going to show you a freeze frame right now. Okay, let's pick that camera back up and let's grab some altitude, move back and move around and just take a little bit of a look around. You guys probably haven't seen some of the stuff around here. We're not gonna go over the street, but we are gonna kind of move to the side here. We can cross 10 Mile here and kind of get over the top of this green belt in between the street and the construction going on here. Now, what is this construction? I don't know what that is, guys. I am not sure what's going in there. That next to it is a Dutch Brothers coffee that went in recently. And what is this one? Now, hang on here. This is when you need to use that that zoom, don't you? So this is just going to be with the main camera there. So yeah, this is not Dutch Brothers. This is a restaurant called Slim Chickens. Hadn't heard that. Might have to try that one out, huh? That sounds interesting, doesn't it? Slim Chickens. Something new. Looks like they're open too. So that's a Dutch Brothers that's right next to them. And what this one down here is, I have got no clue. But anyway, lots of stuff going on. I mean, there's so much population. If I pick the camera up here, you look on the other side of Costco there. Well, all this, people that follow my channel, this used to just be an open field that I would fly over. And it's you know, it's all housing as far as you can see. I got distracted there for a second. My Action 2 camera was shutting off and beeping. So, you know, you do this stuff and you get so used to hearing beeps, and it always gets your attention. Dutch Brothers coffee, man. That's I don't know, good stuff. I was gonna say better than Starbucks, but I like them both. But I really like Dutch Brothers. And I don't know what's going in here too. There looks like there might be a couple of different businesses going in right here. It is just so interesting to watch all this stuff go on. And then Costco, you know, they're always busy, although it looks like there's plenty of open parking spots there today. Trust me, there won't be on the weekend. And you can see me out over there in Heroes Park off in the distance there. And let's go back over this over 50 development right here, and it looks like they still are building a few homes here. It's not completely built out, but again, this was just I don't know, it was just a big old open field I used to fly drones over not long ago. So we'll stay over the top of these houses here, so we're not over any of those the street there and those construction guys. But yeah, so it looks like that whole street is getting built out here. And you guys have seen me at this park over here too. I've flown this park. God, it looks nice and green. I don't see a lot of people there, which is kind of interesting. Let's get down here a little bit so you can get a look at it. This is Keith Bird Park, and it's kind of a neighborhood park. There's not, you know, typically, I mean, it's not that big, but I think it gets well used. You know, you got a basketball court, you got a picnic shelter, you got a kids play area, and as we always have in Meridian Parks, they do such a great job with their restrooms. They always have nice, clean, bright restrooms. So anyway, something you don't always see in public parks. So we're just going to go straight through here and go on the other side to the farmer's field that's on the other side of Heroes Park. I'm an old man. I have to think about my words. Think about your words, Marcus. Anyway, so here we go. We're just about over the field. And again, I'm just going to do a quick yaw around here so you can see all this development. You know, all this just a couple years ago was nothing but an open field. And now it's houses everywhere. And listen, I'm not begrudging it. I think it's a great thing. I love living here in Idaho, and I am happy that other people can enjoy it too. We've got a lot of folks moving into Idaho, and I'm not a NIMBY. I am all for sharing the beauty of what we have. So anyway, let's move out over the field here and let's take a look at the corn here. The farmer is planting, has planted some corn, and actually I don't know if this is feed corn, you know, or otherwise sometimes called maize. It probably is. We can get down here. We can get down here low. This drone has such a great signal. I am standing under the picnic shelter, and we got this guy down low, and we still have a great signal. Let's drop the camera down and let's take a look at the corn here. Yeah, this has just got to be feed corn, and look at that. They didn't even really. It doesn't seem like they're really too worried about weeds or anything else, huh? Look at that. So yeah, that's I'm sure that's probably feed, and they'll just mulch it all up and feed it to the cows. And then they got something else growing here on the other side, and that's the good old Mega Walmart there off in the distance. And what are we growing here? Yeah, it's, oh man, I don't know. So this is a row crop. They planted it in rows. I got to be honest with you guys. There's so much different stuff growing there. I don't know what that is. If somebody in the chat can identify what kind of crop they're growing here, let me know. But I have a feeling this is property that's going to get built out here pretty quickly as well, and that's probably why they're not too worried about what they're growing here. You know, you never know. A deal may already be done. So yeah, we're only 8 meters high, and we have just great, really great signal with the drone. And you know, the other thing is, let's see, I'm going to turn obstacle avoidance back on. I just got to thinking here. I was going to say, look, we couldn't run into one of those things if we tried. You know what? We could, because I had obstacle avoidance off. But let's just head straight for it here. And trust me, with OA, it is not. It's going to go right over the top. Yeah, good old DJI. Works quite well. So this is the Mega Walmart here. So let's try something else here. Let's get some altitude. And let's see, where can I? What I'm going to do is that intersection off in the distance there. I'm going to see if I can get it centered up. And we are going to go. Let's see if we switch cameras, what happens. So I'm going to stop recording now. And then we're going to start recording again. Switch to that 3x zoom. There we go. And let's get in on that. And yeah, so it changed our ISO, etc. So let's go back into the settings here. Let's take a look here. No, I set it to auto. Didn't mean to do that. Let's go back into the settings. It's on 1/50th, but the ISO is at 260. So that's not going to hurt anything. Our shutter speed is at 1/50th. Let me go look at both of those, and they're on auto. So let me see if I can get back down to that 100. And that's a little bit dark, isn't it? So let's go back up to 200. And then the one, I'm good with the 1/40th. I'm going to set that so it holds it there, though. Turn it off of automatic. And then let's see what we can see here. Hey, okay, so I'm on that intersection with the 3x telephoto 70mm f2.8 lens, and what I did is you're going to see it skip. You saw it skip because I forgot to start recording. So you saw me do the adjustments and so forth. So we're recording now, and take a look at the motion blur here. It's one of the things I hate about when you switch lenses. You have to remember to start recording again. I almost wish it could give you a reminder or something to do that, because I forget often. So let's let this next light go, and yeah, we've got the turn lane going right now. This is actually pretty good. This should show us some nice blur. Again, we're at ISO 200, the shutter speed at 1/40th of a second. The slower that shutter speed, the more motion blur you're going to get with the camera. So it's looking pretty good. Let's see when that next light changes and watch those cars go through. And we got quite a few cars going through, and we'll see that that motion blur. So the other thing that I'm going to do is just like I did last time. I'm going to show you, I'm just going to do a screen grab so that you can see that motion blur right now. Okay, so you saw what it can do. I am going to stop recording and switch back to that main camera. And you can see how far away we really are. I'm going to start recording again, and let's bring this guy home. In fact, let's turn around here. Let's see. Let's go straight across here. Let's drop down. I'm going to try a little experiment. Let's go into this. I don't know whether this field here. I don't know if they're starting some construction. I'm trying to look and see what that is. It almost looked like it was some kind of little racetrack or something there for a second. So anyway, or maybe there was, maybe that's, yeah, that might be the remains of a building, or maybe they started to build something, started a foundation. I don't know. But I'm just looking at the FPV screen. So I'm going to get the drone down pretty low here, and we're going to do a return to home. And let's see if this guy will see if we can get a. And yeah, I might have got too low there. Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to go into, I got too low there, and I should have been watching my signal, so I lost signal. So it's probably in return to home right now. Yeah, it is. I just wanted to show you that dynamic RTH and how it works. So it's coming back, and it's only going to, you know, it's got obstacle avoidance, so it's only going to go as high as it has to. Well, this is pretty cool here. So it's going right over the top of these trees. I was going to adjust the camera up a little bit, but I think I'm going to leave it down so you guys can see this. That's pretty darn cool. And this little exercise, I want to see if this guy will get a precision landing. So as you recall, we set it up, and it's just coming, man, the vector is just perfect. It's coming right back to us. And this is, you know, this is with the optimized return to home, and there it kind of rose a little bit. And remember, our return to home height is set at 35 meters, and the highest it got to was 28 meters there. So it's coming down now, and let's see if it hits that pad. It looks pretty darn close to me. I'm going to stand in front of it here. Yeah, I think it's going to hit it right on. Yeah, it picked the camera up already. So there we are. And you know what? I forgot to start the Action 2 camera, so you're not going to see it on the Action 2 camera. I'll start that Action 2 camera, and you can see it's right in the pretty close to the center of the pad. Pretty cool. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't have the Action 2 camera to catch that landing, but you can see that's right where it landed. Let's get this guy shut down. Hey, okay, the DJI Air 3 with the Freewell ND 64 filter on there with a circular polarizer. So we took it out and showed you how to capture motion blur and how to adjust the settings to get to that. And with the big wide aperture on this particular camera, the 1.7 aperture on the main wide angle camera, I think you can go to that higher filter and get good results. And then I guess what we found is even with the smaller aperture, I believe it's 2.8 aperture on the 70 millimeter telephoto camera, we were still able to get that motion blur or that shutter speed down to 1/40th of a second. Had to kind of kick the ISO up a little bit to 200, but I think it still looked pretty good. There shouldn't be a lot of noise in there. And we showed you at the other intersection over by the Walmart, and just kind of gave you a little bit of a tour of the area, as I kind of do. But anyway, that's about it. Again, I want to thank Freewell for sending me the all-day 8-pack filter set and the everyday 3-pack as well. So yeah, that's about it. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.